March 12, 2015 meeting of the Stoughton School Building Committee, and I'm at this point going to turn it over to Tim Bonfatti of Compass Project Managers.
There's no public, that explains it.
You're all mic'd up for cable broadcast, I presume?
So I'll have Dom go through that.
Real quickly, we talked about, thank you. We talked about last month, this timeline. We made an adjustment in the timeline. I think we actually referenced to it last month, that the responses will be due at 11 o'clock on Monday the 23rd. We had originally the 25th, and that was sent out as addendum number 1, so that the participants, the designers, have that information. The completion of that will be the submission, I'm sorry, I'm losing track of this. The reference checks are the 27th, so. Just an update that Maureen Doherty gave us was that we received a list of plan holders for this project. There were 20 architectural firms that I count presently. There might be a couple that might show up tomorrow. We'll take attendance on that. We'll be meeting at 2 o'clock at the high school, same area by your the superintendent's office, that conference room. And I talked to Principal Miller about directing people if they came in from the other side to come across the way. We'll go through a little description of the project with them. We'll talk about how we're going to do our due diligence and looking at different parts of the project. We're going to get into more detail about that. And then we'll take the tour and we'll process that. We'll get all the information. We'll have them sign in and get their email addresses, and if there are questions that come up, they have a period of time to get back to us on that. So right now we're on track. We're moving forward.
And it's just I guess the only comment, these are, everyone's competing for the project, so it's a competitive proposal environment, so we wouldn't expect them to be particularly communicative, and of course we have to be careful on our communications with them, just to be, so it's not an overly, opinion-laced kind of presentation. That's just not the way these go.
We're going to be generalizing pretty much.
And then we are going to put an addendum out on the existing.
We did.
Yeah,
we actually did. Maureen took it and did it manually.
Oh, good.
She
Okay.
sent it out manually, so I
You
have
have
but I have 25 additional copies.
This is with the existing plans.
With existing plans.
So what has been great is Gail did an existing survey of the building and actually put square footages for all the rooms. It's quite detailed, actually.
And then we have
unusual for us to get that.
And we have a site, just the current site.
Yeah. So that's all going to be given to them, and they can use that in formulating their responses. That's it on designer selection update. The next item on the agenda is the options analysis, and there are two. So I would like to actually move beyond the map for a second to the sample of the matrix that we have used recently on a project. So this is just a sample, and I wanted to. So this is there's better detail in this one.
It's supposed to get clearer.
So
That didn't work.
if you look at the matrix, like I said, this is the product. This is now this is the product of. I'm going to say this is the product of about between when the architect came on board. This is the product of like 2 months of work, 2 to 3 months worth of work. This matrix. So it's although it's kind of a simple document, it has a lot of backup to it. Across the top are the different options that this school district looked at. There were 11 different options on 4 different sites in this school district.
Hey
Hello.
guys.
Down the left is the criteria that this building committee chose to use in measuring the options. So they basically went through a process of completing the criteria or an evaluation of the criteria, and this committee used a color coding. As you can see up at the top, there's a color coding.
Thank you so much.
There's a color coding process up the top, and ultimately they're still in the process of evaluation. So this is not necessarily. I'm using this simply as an example, not as any kind of a discussion point. But this is kind of how we would look to sort of get to the end of an analysis. We look at the options. We look at the options. We look at the criteria. So the one thing that I would ask for people to do, we don't need to do anything with the criteria today, but I would like the members of the committee to look at the criteria. These ones are probably fairly typical, but when we come to the next meeting, we will probably want to take a vote on the criteria that people in the committee want to use, so we'll have a discussion and vote on it. We can have a discussion now about it if the chair wants, but I wasn't anticipating we'd have to take a vote or anything.
Well, there might be an additional criteria that we're not familiar with because of the location.
And that's that. So that's the thing I wanted to show you, because this is the next document is the document that we talked about as kind of at the working group. I'm looking at now the map of the town-owned properties that was given to us very helpfully by the town engineer, and we identified these sort of ideas as parcels that might at some level be considered. They don't necessarily have, they should be at least somewhat feasible, but obviously there's a long analysis to decide whether or not a parcel is going to stay on a list. That's part of what we're going to go through for the next few months. Obviously the existing school and the ad reno option is on this list, and as well as the campus itself as a potential parcel. So as I said, this was the product of the smaller group to kind of, when we canvassed available sites. And I don't know if anyone has any more comment or.
I just want to let you know that Mark was very helpful. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. In also identifying other parcels, but with no specifics, just a list of possible parcels that were 15 acres and above. So having drilled down, there was no real detail to it, but it's something we can also investigate when the designer comes on board.
We're probably going to need somebody to go through in the town and say these are, because there's like 40 parcels that town owned, but some of them are DPW, I suspect, or somebody would need to tell us these are actually viable. So we don't need to really, unless somebody said, well, what about this? You didn't pick up on, I know of this. We don't need to have a big discussion about this. We're going to talk about this in more detail when the architect gets on board. But again, this is something we should be thinking about. Any questions or comments or?
Yeah, looks good.
Just for the committee at present, or I'll get to you afterwards. Tim, go ahead.
Yep, and then the next item on the agenda is public outreach. So what Lauren's prepared here is kind of a mock-up of what the website would look like, and just some of the features that, and obviously these tabs can be customized for others, but I think they're pretty self-explanatory. There would be a home page which we would keep current with sort of new. There's not much to do right now, but eventually we would, for instance, note the architect was selected. We would, as a maybe a particularly interesting event occurs, like a community forum, we would plop it there to be whatever it is. That's kind of the live place, since a lot of people just go to home pages. There's a tab for photos and visuals. There's a tab for presentations. The options analysis that when it's completed, we would expect to post. We would post meeting minutes here. Whether they're posted also on the town's official websites, and in addition, is fine.
Are they mine?
I believe they are.
Yeah.
So as far as the process goes, When the minutes are approved from that meeting, we'll
I was gonna,
post them and send them
yeah, I
to Maureen and,
I-
and
once I post them here, I would just send them to her and email her to post them whenever she would.
that'll be consistent.
Sure, that's,
Yeah.
Reggie's gonna be handling the administration, so
One on my
that's
nerves.
good for me.
Yeah, she probably wants them on hers too.
The minutes?
Yeah, that way they'll be in 3 locations.
Yeah. And the other thing is, no. And then, you know, as design develops, there'd be a tab that people would go to for design, so the schematic design and, you know, different design issues that might come up. Financial is the budget, tax impact, the kind of as it develops. Schedule, self-explanatory, I think. Links, so what we were expecting, the way I think we talked about it at the last meeting, is that this would be linked from the town website as well as the school department website would have a building project click link on, and then that they would come to this Google site.
I've been in touch with Jean, and she's great. She sent me, 10 links to put on there. So once this is done, I'll send her, so we'll all be synced up as far as,
And then the bar down the left is kind of just sort of, you know, we usually, this is a calendar to particular critical dates if people want to have, so,
We'll have milestones. We'll have
Yeah.
milestones. We'll have a countdown, you know, the day we're moving in. We'll have what was completed, as I said, milestones, and maybe a look ahead, like 30 days, this is what's coming up, you know, not to surprise Julie. So,
and then, yeah, and then Don mentioned that that's what kind of what some of these milestones are, and that's kind of it. So if people, you know, have any thoughts on this, just let us know.
A question just on the back on the map.
Yeah.
Maybe I read it wrong, but see where it's labeled the existing school? Is that just denoting that that's the elementary school, or is that?
No, that's the site.
That's our site here.
You sure?
Our high school site.
Check that out. Well, am I reading it wrong?
Well, it's all.
The high school's not right off of Plain Street.
It's
You
the whole
look-
complex, isn't it?
No.
So we dialed it
You open
wrong.
that up, the existing site is up here. off
Oh,
of
so
Brook.
this is, then this is,
That right there, that circled one is, that's the Gibbons School. And if you look further north, the parcel, the bigger parcel right up.
this one up here?
Yeah, right
This
here.
one up here? Yeah, yeah.
You guys want to
I
meet
see.
here tomorrow afternoon, I'll show you where the high school is.
Yeah, I think that we must have.
We were all in the same room.
We-
First, I just took it as it's an
I'm glad you
existing
did,
school.
that's
I-
intended to be the circle for the existing high school site. That just
Same
was
thing,
put
more
on the
just
wrong
a-
one.
Actually, I sent this out to someone. Can you tell me to verify this? Verifying this map, because we weren't sure exactly the proper name.
existing school.
Yeah,
That's probably why they verified it,
took it
right?
first, yeah.
But
incorrect.
this is going to be moved,
School in 6 other places.
yeah.
We'll
So you
tweak,
gained one, yeah.
we'll tweak the names.
You gained
here.
a spot now.
I'm Andrew, this was your mic's on?
I made sure it was off.
I'm glad you picked that up, thank you.
We will tighten
Why
that
we
up
present
Yeah,
on
and
the
it's
vote, because
Yeah.
as we said, we were spitballing in a lot of ways, looking for multiple sites and multiple options.
So that's on public outreach.
Do you want to talk about the TV?
Oh, yeah, well, I guess I would, TJ, if you want to talk about the interview on Tuesday.
Right. Tim and I had reached out to Jeffrey Pickett to do just a half-hour piece on, this is the OPM, this is the process going forward, and, you know, welcome to the building committee, this is what we're going to be doing, because it's been dark on these issues for a little while, and as I was sitting in our last working group and looking at the timeline going forward from, you know, today to groundbreaking, whenever that is and wherever that is, whether it be on the current site or otherwise. I mean, I didn't know it, and it sort of occurred to us talking in the working group that it'd be a nice time to just give a run through to the community, and and Tim actually talked with Jeff while we were there and spoke about doing this on a semi-regular basis as benchmarks come up, like when the architect's on board perhaps, and I did it with Tim, and it was mostly Tim talking, but I think it would probably be good if other members of the committee spoke on in that form. I mean, I don't particularly have any thrill for being on television, despite the fact that this is, but maybe Julie Miller can be the next one. So. Yeah. Or Maureen Doherty already said she would not do it. Yeah. But another face, and Tim did great on it, and I think it was well worth the half hour we spent. It's actually on YouTube, and if you don't have the link, I can send it around to everyone so you can see it.
Came out
So
good.
that he
Yeah, I
already saw it. Yeah. It's on Facebook somewhere. So I was just there for window dressing.
That's the start.
Okay. So
That's it from the business, and then approval of invoice package, which in this case is simply normally, and we met earlier with town accountant to go over our invoice approval process, which I don't know if you want to discuss that process with the broader group, or it's more of an accounting process, but essentially you would vote on all the invoices that come in front of, or recommend approval. If I say something wrong, Mike, you'll tell me. Then the chairman will sign off on that at the end of the meeting, and then that will be what the selectmen vote in their warrant for invoices. So there's only the one invoice, is our invoice for services through February for $6,605. If
hint. That's a hint.
And so usually we also do go through when there gets a lot of, particularly the building invoice, we'd like to get a subcommittee together to kind of go through. There's a lot of detail on a building invoice, and we would probably see if there's appropriate people on the committee with, particularly construction experience, who can comment on the building invoice, the requisition invoice. We usually set up a separate meeting for that. So, but this is a pretty simple one. So.
Does this one need to be voted today?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So does someone move the acceptance
So make a
of the
motion to
invoice?
accept the invoice number and
Right, then I will.
the amount.
Yeah, move to recommend payment.
Motion by Dr.
I will
Rizzi
move to recommend payment of invoice CPM 44-01.
Second.
The amount of $6,605.
Yes,
6605.
I'm sorry,
6605.00.
There was a second on that,
second.
too. All those in favor of recommending payment?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Oh, this is the budget. We also attached, the feasibility phase is a pretty simple budget. Obviously, it'll be more extensive when we get into, as the construction budget gets approved, some time from now.
Could we talk about this budget for a minute?
Sure, yeah.
Okay with you?
Yeah, please.
Okay. First of all, you have the feasibility budget adding up to
Oh, that's not,
1,045,000.
yeah,
That's correct.
that needs to be adjusted.
Okay, and secondly, I know we had a discussion on this. I can't remember if it was at the last meeting or at the working group meeting. Is this what we decided we were going to lay it out at?
This is the one that this is not, I either made a mistake in transposing this to Mary, or somehow my math to you guys was wrong, one way or the other. I sent you guys an email and said this is what we're going to use as the budget. And that is, it was the working group one. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. These are not the numbers that we talked about.
That's what I was trying to remember. That's why I'm asking the question.
No, this one. I'd have to check, Joel, on that. It should be. It's intended to be. There wasn't.
EJ, should we vote on this budget breakdown? What do you think?
I wouldn't if we're
Well-
uncertain about it right now. Are you looking for a vote on it?
We don't usually get a vote on the budget.
Yeah.
But
Oh, the budget itself is $1 million. I mean, nobody.
well, there's a problem with this one. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is. I got to check that email I sent you. It should be. I didn't check this version, but it should total up $1 million. which I think is in the other column, Joel, but I don't.
I should write.
Yeah.
So what, do you find the error in?
Yeah, I will redo it and get it and send it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't really become a problem until we enter the propane, so
Yeah,
we're
right.
not there yet, so we're getting close.
But I must have sent this to Mary and then wrong.
I think the $80,000 under other. was
Yeah, I think that is the,
less.
I think that is the problem.
That's the
I need to
problem.
look at it, yeah.
Put your mic more placement of it.
I think the other is 35, but we will redo it and bring you the new one. Okay. On the next meeting.
I don't see it here.
This is the one contract that's in, this is basically the vendor invoice package that we submit, so this has the one contract, which is our contract. And then that's all I had on the budget, and minutes is the last item. Somebody wants to vote, make a motion to
Yep.
approve the minutes?
Everybody's reviewed the minutes from our last meeting. Is there a motion to approve them?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
And I will second.
I'll say, Lauren,
Maureen?
your minutes are so detailed.
Oh, thanks.
Best part about them is that you did them.
Yeah,
A lot of experience there, right?
That's right.
thank you for that. Motion made, seconded. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Moving on.
Love meetings like this.
I can't find that email with that, not this fast, I can't, so.
Me either, so. I remember we moved it back and forth in email, and I think we
Yep.
tossed it around a bit.
Okay. Future agenda items.
Any future agenda items? I mean, obviously, the next big topic is for us is going to be updating on the design of selection. At the next meeting, we'll continue with sort of those site reviews. The only thing we talked about doing ahead of the designers was possibly if people found, sites that would definitely be on the list, we might want to order geotechnical exploration to get a head start on things. So that's something that the working group will talk about further, and we'll.
Yeah, I believe Joel Harding said that has been a hazmat study done on the existing school. Maggie, does that
Yes.
sound right?
Yes, we have,
A hazmat asbestos study on the existing school has already
Yeah, he
been
did
done,
say
right?
that.
yes,
Okay.
yes, but
The Harris study is, you mean, right? The Harris
Right.
report? Yeah, that's probably, we'll need a different study for
yeah,
the.
Joel and I spoke about this, that we might need more destructive investigation.
That's
Not-
probably what I would
That's-
think
that's
too,
the-
yeah.
But there is a study, there is some geotech information too, and there's building envelope information that Joel shared with me from different studies from 2004, 2006, 2012. 3 to 4 different types of studies.
Okay,
So
good.
we have some information that gives us a, kind of a head start on a few things.
Good.
Set the future meeting dates for the rest of the year. I know, I think it was more an issue of scheduling the
We're
rooms.
talking like the second or third Thursday, second
Second.
Thursday of each
Second
month.
Thursday of
I'll
each
just go
month
with
is
that.
fine with
Is
me.
If there's a conflict, we'll deal with it at the meeting.
Sure.
Like something like April school vacation if it fell, but it doesn't on this particular item.
Yeah.
Or,
We're going to try to post the rest of the year
yeah,
and schedule the room the rest of the year.
April
Schedule,
9th.
but not I mean,
No, you can actually post in advance.
Right.
The actual meeting notice, you
Yeah,
have
right.
to you have to post an agenda 48 hours beforehand,
right.
but you can actually post the meeting time and date and location now.
okay.
so
And
Lauren will have all, we can recite them right now, maybe for the record.
Thursday, right?
So April 9th, May 14th,
Mhm.
June 11th, July 9th, August 13th, September 10th, October 8th, November 12th, and December 10th.
And we'll send a meeting invite out to the
Yeah,
whole
I'll send
committee,
Outlook
or,
invitation.
Outlook invitation.
In terms of future agenda items too, I wanted to say this, particularly for the chairman of the school committee who's here, because we talked about, the issue will probably come up as we get into our business even more of public participation at these meetings. So we set up, you'll notice on the packet, you have heard them, that the item 1 on the agenda is now and will be at our meetings go forward, a public participation period. So questions for the committee at that time can be posed. So and because, you know, I did tell you last meeting that as chairman of the school committee, I'd give you courtesy. So because we set that apart, and of course I didn't tell you that it was beginning of the meeting, you weren't here for that. You did have a question, and I'll give you the courtesy of asking the question. So
First of all, I apologize.
no.
My wife is working late today.
No.
I was in charge of
No.
transporting the kids.
Know the feeling.
I beg your pardon.
Heard that.
I had just 2 clarifying questions. One is on page 3, you have a list of landholders list, Stoughton High School, RFS. I am assuming RFS is the request for.
Designer services.
So this is these are the companies that expressed interest, or okay. The second one is you mentioned the list of criteria. I couldn't see that in the packet. Is that a separate document, or could you point me?
Sure.
oh my God,
What's that?
is that your ring?
My son, 9-year-old, got into Star Trek, the original series, so he recorded it from the.
If you look here, Ayrton,
The
these
last
are,
Turning into
channel.
daddy.
Myself.
this is the suggested criteria.
Oh, okay. Well, thank
You
you
see
so
what I'm
much. So all these, if I came on time, I would have known.
This is a
Thank you.
sample.
Okay. And Roberta, I hate to do this to you, but we just ran through the entire agenda.
That's fine, I looked at it. I just
Okay.
finished work, so.
We appointed you to 2 subcommittees.
Oh, gee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything further under the,
Nice of you to volunteer.
I know, that always what happens.
anything further under the category of future agenda items? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Wow. That was quick. Second.
Second?
So, motion.
Favor of adjourning?
Maggie,
Aye.
and my-
Thanks for,
Michael.
thank you for that vote.
Well, you know,
I wish.
it's gonna be like forever.
My day is not over.
Well, I've been in meetings